So we're going to go on to the next section of the data, which is really important because it kind of notches up the model and starts to take a look at what are the connecting factors and how do you start to get predictable changes in employee engagement levels by moving certain levers. But before I do that, by a quick show of hands, I'm just curious. How many people in the room currently work at an organization where you do an employee satisfaction or an employee engagement study? Okay. Please keep your hands up if you are a company where you do a list of actions or action plans in relation to that study, yes? Okay. And then keep your hands up if you get all of the things that are on all the action plans done before you do the next survey. Don't feel bad. In all the sessions that we've done, there was one guy in Regina and one guy yesterday, and that's it. So all the organizations, we've got great intentions, we do great studies, generate the information, generate the action plans, but there's two faults. One is, are we generating the solutions that really, really will impact employee engagement? Number one. Number two, clearly, we've got a list that's way too long to actually be actionable. So what if you actually had some insights on the short list of actions that you can take that actually will drive changes in employee engagement levels? So we don't have to say what if. Trevor has that answer, and he's going to walk you through it.
Our goal, as we've been discussing, what can we do to improve and what kind of outcomes can we expect? One of the valuable aspects of this research is that we can actually now start to measure. So the simulator that we have developed through the Build a Better Workplace model will help make those decisions and help inform some of those decisions that are really challenging in the organization. So let's take senior leadership, right? We've been chatting today about what it is, senior leadership, and without question, we see confidence and trust in senior leadership is remarkably low. What if we were able to improve it? We asked the question on a 5-point scale, if we were to take that 3 and move it up to a 4 on the 5-point scale, what kind of impact can we expect? We see right through the model that we start to see impacts on alignment, on an employee satisfaction, and an employee's loyalty. And then that carries right through to an improvement in engagement. Couple of things to note here. One is the magnitude of impact varies, right? Remember how we talked about the model and its different component pieces. Interesting to see how improvements are not actually all the same, right? It's not just a straight 3%, but actually it's the alignment when you get senior leadership making changes that alignment measure really goes up. It goes up by 7%, right? And then satisfaction and then organizational loyalty, overall measure of 3%. The other interesting point is it's not 30%, right? So this kind of tool in your organizations can really help set a context for what kind of changes and what kind of impact can be made through the organization. And the simulator can actually allow you to play with each of the different levers that we have in the model, and you can watch and see the different impact as it carries through to engagement and the different component parts of engagement.
So the natural next question is, how do we get there? How do we start to prioritize that list? Well, let's take a look at senior leadership. And we learned from the research that these are the key drivers under senior leadership. Communication from the top, the flow of information, that's up, down, it's also back and forth between organizational units. How well can units work with each other? Approachable senior leadership, and then also strategy implementation. So these are the most influential drivers impacting the perceptions of senior leaders. So where should we place our effort? In an environment of scarce resources, you need to know where to go. You need to know which action is going to have the most impact. And the priority matrix helps us understand what's working and what's not. It tells you where your attention is needed. You don't actually have to guess, because what we can do is we can take a look at how impactful is the driver on engagement. So that's the bottom axis there. And then going up and down, we can see how well our organization's performing on each of the drivers. So in the top corner, priority areas of strength means that it's both important in terms of impact on engagement, and employees are saying organizations are performing well here. Below it are the areas for improvement, because anything falling in this quadrant means very simply that it's very impactful on employee engagement, but employees are saying organizations are underperforming relative to the other drivers. Okay? Then moving to the left, these are less impactful, but again, we can look at them in terms of how employees gauge them in terms of performance, and these all form secondary improvement areas. So let's take a look at the 4 drivers of senior leadership. Any guesses where you think communication from the top will fall? Which quadrant? Lower right? Hearing a lot of lower right. There it is. Organizations need to ask what employees are hearing or perhaps not hearing from their senior leaders at the top, and how consistent are the messages. So it's interesting to see that the flow of information is viewed as a strength. So that really pushes us to say, what exactly is the message that's coming from the top, and asking if communication is perceived as open and transparent. Is the right information provided at the right time, just in time, or after the fact? When employees find out about things happening in the organization from other divisions or from the media, they might not feel as engaged. They might not feel as connected. So looking at communication from the top, it's important to ask about communication in an open manner. Look at how information is provided in terms of time, and managing the water cooler conversations, or nowadays they're happening on G-Talk and Facebook.